So how many of you have tried to teach someone something and then realize in the end you and the person you're trying to teach don't really know what you're doing? Well, I have a quote that I think kind of relates to that. It's, "If the blind lead the blind, both shall fall into a ditch," and it's from the Bible. And I kind of interpret this as meaning, like, if you try to seek help from someone who doesn't know what they're doing, you're both going to fail in the end. And I think this relates to many different situations. I think it can relate to you in school or with your friends or even at work. And so if you're with your friends and maybe you're trying to find like a new group of friends to hang out with so you can start doing right, and you get in with like a bad group and maybe they're doing drugs and you start following them if they're leading you, then you're both going to get in trouble and fail at what you're trying to do. And that's kind of following in the wrong direction, following someone who's blind. Also, if you go to a class, like at the example I thought of was a math class, because a lot of people have problems with math. If you're in a math class and you're doing a problem, you don't understand it, you turn to someone and ask them to help you, and they start teaching you, and they really don't know what they're doing, but they're just pretending like they do. You go, you take your test, you do your math problem, and you get your test back, and both of you have like gotten a bad grade because you both didn't know exactly what you were doing. That's kind of, obviously it's not good if you're getting a bad test on your math grade, and it's another example of following someone who's blind. And my last point is, like at work, maybe you're new and you're being trained, or maybe you just don't understand like something that you're supposed to know. So you ask one of your employees, and then not your employees, one of your fellow workers. You ask them like, "Oh, how do I do this?" And they start telling you. Maybe they didn't get the concept like either fully, or maybe they just don't know what they're doing at all. And they teach you, and then later on you're doing it. Well, if you're not taught right, you do it wrong, you could get in trouble with your boss. So, in conclusion, following someone who's blind or who doesn't know what they're doing, in the end, it can affect you in a very negative way. So when you're choosing someone to follow, make sure it's someone who knows what they're doing.
Yeah.
I know, I took a while.
Well. Yeah. Well, it looks far. Yeah, or you probably excusing it this morning.
Yesterday.
Oh,
You stalked me? I saw you with that woman.
All right, we got the rhetorical question survey attention device. I heard that quite a few times. I thought you made a nice transition to the quote and indicated what your thesis was going to be. There's a good setup of what the content's going to be. At least you've got a structure for the presentation. That's good. Your examples are all right, although they do seem a little redundant. They're very easy to follow because you do stick to that structure. On the presentation issues, it's easy to hear you. I think you get a little bit of personality into your voice. Maybe your energy level could be a little bit higher, but it's not that it was problematic. It's just, in the context and with the room, maybe a little more energy would be helpful. You've got lots of indicators. Sometimes it seems like they're a little excessive. The two places where I see anxiety coming out are in the frequency of the gesture indicators and also in your feet. You've got a little bit of nervous feet and hip swinging going on there. When you watch it, you'll notice it because I mentioned it. It won't seem nearly as obvious if I hadn't said it, but now that's exactly what you're going to be looking at. Oh my gosh, he's mentioned my feet. And you're crossing your feet. You've got one. you're putting one toe on the ground, kind of behind you. It just looks like you are uncomfortable when you're doing that sort of thing. But your facial expressions, I think, are very involved with the audience, and your eye contact, I think, is nicely distributed. It's just like I said, most of your anxiety seems to be coming out in your feet. Oh, that's somebody rolling something down the hall. At the end of the speech, I thought you had a good summary of what the position was that you were taking. Thank you.